So when I started college, I didn't really think about how important student loans were going to be. At the time, I was just focused on getting into a good school and told myself I'd figure things out as I went. But once those tuition bills started rolling in, I knew I had to find a loan that was flexible, easy to manage, and wouldn't leave me drowning in debt later on. And after looking into a bunch of lenders, comparing terms, and trying to make sense of everything, College Ave stood out as a pretty straightforward and customizable option. So I ended up borrowing with them. And in this video, I'm going to break down everything I've learned about student loan debt, what it all means, how it works, and what repayment or forgiveness really looks like, especially if you go through a lender like College Ave. I'm going to walk you through their sign-up process, what makes them different, and whether they could be a good fit for your situation. So whether you're just starting school or you're already managing loans, stick around if you want to learn more about your options and see if College Ave could help you. Now, let's get into it. All right, so if you're not familiar with College Ave, they're a private student loan company that helps students and parents borrow money for college. Their whole mission is to make the student loan process less confusing and a lot more student friendly. So instead of piling on complexity, they focus on fixing the usual headaches like unclear terms, stiff repayment plans, and that frustrating lack of flexibility that's common with most lenders. And that's a welcomed change because student debt is a huge issue right now, with millions of borrowers feeling overwhelmed by long-term repayment plans. Interest is piling up, and the sheer lack of support after graduation. So having a lender that gives you more control and transparency can really make a difference in how manageable that debt feels over time. Now, what really sets College Ave apart is how customizable their loans are. So whether you're an undergrad, a grad student, or a parent trying to support your kid's education, you get to shape the loan around your needs. You can pick your repayment term, decide if you want to start paying while you're still in school, and even refinance if you've already carrying student debt and you just want some better terms. Now, if College Ave is already on your radar, getting started is very easy and quick. So it took me maybe 3 minutes to fill out. You just need to plug in some basics like your school details and some financial info. Then as soon as you submit, you get an instant credit decision, which is nice because there's no waiting around or wondering if you're going to be approved. So College Ave covers a pretty wide range of student loan needs. Like I mentioned, whether you're doing your undergrad or a graduate program like law, medical, dental, or even an MBA, they've got loan options specifically for those paths, as well as parent loans and refinancing options. But one thing that caught my attention is that you can borrow up to 100% of your school certified cost of attendance, which means not just tuition, but also things like housing, textbooks, and other school-related costs. On top of that, they offer really flexible repayment options, so you can start making full payments right away, go with interest-only payments, or just pay a flat fee of $25 a month while you're still in school, or just defer everything until after graduation. But the grace period for these repayment plans is going to depend on your loan type. For example, if you're in med school, you can get up to 36 months before you have to start paying anything back. But if you don't have much credit history, there's a good chance you're going to need a cosigner, which isn't uncommon for student loans. Though College Ave does let you apply for cosigner release after 24 months of on-time payments, so you won't be tied to someone else's credit forever. Now, overall, their entire setup gives you more control over how and when you repay, which makes the whole experience feel way more flexible than what you'd see with a traditional lender. All right, now let's take a look at the rates and what you can expect if you decide to borrow through College Ave. So their fixed APRs are going to start at around 3.19% and go up to 14.47%, while variable rates range from 4.24% to 14.47%. And the rate you're offered will depend on your credit, your loan type, and repayment plan that you choose. For instance, when I applied with a cosigner who had solid credit, we were looking at a $20,000 undergrad loan with an 8-year repayment term, and College Ave gave us a fixed rate of 5.1%, which honestly felt fair compared to other lenders that I'd seen. Now, a shorter repayment term would have given us a slightly lower rate, but the monthly payments would have been higher, and I wanted to keep things manageable while I was still in school. The good news is there are no application fees, origination fees, or prepayment penalties. So you're not just getting charged anything extra just for applying or for paying things off early, which gave me some peace of mind. But one thing to note is that they do charge a late fee if you miss a payment, 5% of the overdue amount, and capped at $25, which is standard. So obviously it's something you want to avoid, but at least it's not a fee that snowballs if you slip up once. So If you're looking for a hassle-free way to pay for school and you want to get started with College Ave, then you can check out the affiliate link in the description below, where we've got some special deals that you won't find if you go directly to their website. All right, like I mentioned, I went with College Ave for my own studies, but here's a couple of things I noticed throughout my experience that you might want to keep in mind if you're checking them out for yourself. Now, the first thing that stood out to me was how straightforward and transparent the whole process is. I've looked at other lenders where just checking your rates feels like jumping through hoops. You're stuck in long forms with unclear steps and worried about hurting your credit. But with College Ave, I just had to fill out the basics, and within minutes, I had a personalized rate estimate. No hard credit check, no cluttered dashboard. It was all simple and easy to follow. Now, that alone took a lot of the usual stress out of the whole equation. Then, when it came to rates, I was honestly pretty impressed. I ended up getting a fixed APR that was lower than what I saw with a couple of the other private lenders that I've been considering. And like I touched on, the fact that there were no application or origination fees and no penalties for paying off my loan early made College Ave feel like a much more, student-friendly option. But one thing to keep in mind here is that since College Ave is a private lender, you're not going to qualify for things like income-driven repayment or public service loan forgiveness. So if you're planning to work in public service or you need more long-term flexibility, that's something that you're going to have to keep in mind. But that said, my overall experience has been pretty solid. I reached out to their support team a few times just to ask about timelines and repayment questions, and actually got the clarification that I was looking for. No copy and paste answers, just upfront and timely replies from real people who knew what they were talking about. So while College Ave might not be for everyone, especially if you're relying on federal benefits, it can be a good option if you're looking for a private loan with competitive rates and an easy application process that keeps things simple right from the start. Now, if you're still doing your research and checking out other lenders, let's take a moment and see how College Ave stacks up against a couple of its big competitors, Sallie Mae and Earnest. Starting with Sallie Mae. Both platforms offer a fairly smooth experience, but College Ave feels just a bit more streamlined. Their application process is quicker, and you get an instant credit decision, something that not every lender can guarantee. Plus, when it comes to repayment, College Ave gives you 4 in-school options versus Sallie Mae's 3, and that extra choice gives you a little more control. Now, where College Ave really pulls ahead is in its flexibility. Their starting APRs are slightly lower, and for grad students, the deferment period can stretch up to 3 years. Sallie Mae's deferment caps out sooner, which could be limiting if you're planning a longer academic path. Now, that said, Sallie Mae is still strong in areas like customer support and general loan reliability. So if you're looking for a lender that's been around a very, very long time and has a solid reputation, it's definitely worth checking out. But overall, look, I found College Ave to be the better value, especially when it comes to versatility and rates. Meanwhile, with Earnest, the comparison plays out a little differently because it really shines in the refinancing space. Earnest offers customizable repayment plans and even lets you skip a payment occasionally, but when it comes to new student loans, they don't really cover as much ground. So you won't find options for things like career loans, and their deferment periods are shorter, usually capped at around 9 months. So if you're still in school and need a loan that's built to support every stage with more deferment and coverage options, then College Ave ends up being the more well-rounded pick. So to sum it all up, if you're trying to make sense of student loans and want something that's actually flexible, easy to work with, and not packed with confusing terms, then College Ave is definitely worth checking out. The rates are competitive, the application only takes a few minutes, and the repayment options give you room to find something that actually works with your situation. From my own experience, it's been, straightforward, and honestly, one of the few services that feels like it was really built with students in mind. So if you're looking for a lender to simplify managing your student debt, then I definitely recommend College Ave. And that's all for this review. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, then please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more just like this. As a reminder, if you want to get ahead of your student loans with College Ave and take the stress out of paying for school, you can get started with them by checking out the affiliate link in the description below, where we have some special deals that you won't find if you go directly to their website. Now, as always, I enjoy hearing your thoughts, so go ahead and leave any questions or comments down below, and I'll try and get back to them as fast as I can. Finally, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.